The film begins with a man named Morris, a notorious thief known across prisons for one thing: he always escaped. No matter how secure the jail was, Morris somehow found a way out. He robbed banks, made daring getaways, and left authorities humiliated every single time. This time, however, things were different. Because of his reputation, Morris was sent to a prison where escape was believed to be completely impossible, a place designed to crush hope itself. This prison was called Alcatraz. Security here was ruthless. Even imagining escape felt pointless. And even if someone somehow made it past the guards, the cameras, and the walls, freedom was still a distant dream, because Alcatraz was built on an island surrounded by freezing water stretching thousands of meters in every direction. When Morris arrived, he was searched from head to toe. Every inch of him was checked. He was given a uniform, stripped of his identity, and introduced to a world where discipline ruled everything. Prisoners weren't allowed to move freely. Every morning, the bell rang, and everyone woke up at the same time, lined up in uniform, and marched together to breakfast like machines. The warden personally welcomed Morris to Alcatraz. At the dining table, a prisoner named Litmus asked Morris for his food. Without hesitation, Morris gave it to him. But something caught his eye. Litmus was doing something under the table. Morris noticed that Litmus was secretly hiding a rat and feeding it. That tiny act of kindness stood out in a place so devoid of it. A little later, Morris was called in. A guard looked at him and said, "I've heard a lot about you. You've escaped every prison you've been in, but you won't escape this one. Even if you somehow get out, all you'll find is water." While the guard talked, Morris calmly and quietly stole the warden's nail cutter. His face showed nothing, no fear, no ambition. He acted like a man who had accepted his fate. The warden relaxed, unconcerned, and Morris was sent back to his cell. The very first thing Morris did was hide the nail cutter inside his Bible. That was the moment we knew. He hadn't given up. He was already planning to dig his way out. The next morning, while the prisoners were bathing, a man named Wolf, a violent prisoner who had bullied Morris before, started teasing him again. Morris had stayed polite until now. But this time, something snapped. He showed his true nature and brutally beat Wolf. The sight terrified everyone. Until that moment, Wolf had been the most feared man in the prison. Now, Morris had defeated him. And since Wolf was known as a killer, that meant Morris was even more dangerous. Fear shifted instantly. Morris was then assigned work in the prison library. There, he met a man named English, who was 40 years old and had already spent 20 years of his life inside Alcatraz. Half his life was gone. Later, Morris met another prisoner, an artist. The man had painted a flower on his prison shirt. Morris pointed it out, saying, "There's no flower on your shirt." The painter smiled and replied, "This flower shows the happiness inside my heart." That moment stayed with Morris. Later, Morris asked English directly, "Can we escape from this prison? Will you help me?" English laughed bitterly and said, "This isn't a prison. It's a grave. To escape, we'd have to die first." He explained that even if someone crossed the walls and dodged the guards, the freezing water would kill them. "It's better to live quietly here," he said. "At least you'll stay alive." Soon after, Morris was reassigned from the library to the carpenter's workshop. He earned 50 cents an hour. Not that money mattered. What mattered was opportunity. Morris knew this place might give him something useful. He carefully observed everyone and decided that Litmus was someone he could trust. Morris asked him about escaping. Litmus revealed a critical detail. Every cell had an air vent, and the vents led to the roof. While they were talking, Wolf suddenly attacked Morris from behind, desperate for revenge. Morris reacted instantly. He wrapped his coat around Wolf's arms and knocked him down. Guards in the watchtower saw the fight and fired shots to stop them. As punishment, Morris and Wolf were thrown into a torture cell. They endured unimaginable suffering all night. 2 weeks later, they were released. But Morris was barely recognizable. His condition had worsened terribly. Someone close to him was gone. As Morris stepped out, Litmus welcomed him back by sending a note through his rat. That small gesture meant everything. That same day, a new prisoner named Charlie moved into Morris's cell. The two quickly became close friends. Morris slowly formed a group of men he trusted and shared his secret plan to escape. One day, the warden inspected the cells. When he entered the painter's cell, he saw that his artwork had become even more beautiful. Enraged, the warden burned all his paintings and ordered him to never paint again. Instead, he was sent to work in a car painting unit. That decision crushed the painter. Painting was his only joy. In despair and rage, he cut off 3 of his own fingers, the fingers he used to paint. When Morris saw the severed fingers, he was devastated. He picked them up, handed them to a guard, and said, "Give these to the warden. He'll be happy." Morris was a thief, yes, but he had a kind heart. Later, as Morris sat quietly in his cell, grieving, he noticed a large cockroach crawling out of the air vent. That's when it hit him. The space behind the vent was hollow, big enough to hide insects, and maybe a man. Things became even more hopeful when 2 new prisoners arrived. They were brothers who had once escaped prison with Morris before, sharp-minded, just like him. We see emotional visits next. English meets his grown daughter for the first time in years and breaks down in tears. Charlie learns his mother is dying and has only a month or 2 left. That news pushes him over the edge. He goes to Morris at night and says, "If you're escaping, take me with you." They begin planning seriously. Morris explains the vents are too small, but the walls are weak because of the salty sea air. They just need tools. That's when Morris thinks of spoons. He tricks a guard by asking for a clean spoon, then steals an extra one. At night, while digging, guards almost catch him, but Charlie distracts them just in time. Morris sharpens the spoon using matches from Litmus, who agrees in exchange for food for his rats. Slowly, carefully, the hole grows. They steal raincoats to use as boats. They create dummy heads from books, paint, glue, and hair stolen from the barber shop. Morris even builds a fake wall to hide the tunnel. Finally, everything is ready. At exactly 200 a.m., Morris and the others escape through the vents. Charlie hesitates, paralyzed by fear, and misses his chance. The others climb the final wall, tie the raincoats together, inflate them with their breath, and drift into the dark sea. Morning comes. The guards find Morris's dummy head. Alarms scream. The prison panics. The sea is searched, but nothing is found. To protect Alcatraz's reputation, the warden lies. He tells the world the prisoners drowned. But deep down, he knows the truth. Morris escaped. And soon after, Alcatraz was shut down forever because even the world's most secure prison couldn't hold one determined man. This film, based on a true story, ends here. Thanks for watching.